Okay, so Blood Canticle. This is the 12th and originally final book in the Vampire Chronicles. This book is narrated by Lestat. It takes place directly after Blackwood Farm. It runs right into it. And Mona Mayfair has just been turned into a vampire by Lestat. So what happens next? Well, you're dealing with Mayfairs, you're dealing with ghosts, so naturally Rowan Mayfair comes into the picture, as does her husband Michael Curry. For a little while they're teaching Mona about life as a vampire and how to feed and stuff, they're trying their best to hide from Rowan and Michael Mona's condition because they don't know how they're going to react. And it is shocking for them at first, but considering they've dealt with a certain other immortal race before, not as shocking as Lestat would thought. In fact, when they finally go for a meeting at the Mayfair Manor, it's Rowan and Michael who, through Lestat, inform us about a Cliff Notes version, more or less, of what happened in the Mayfair Chronicles and what, in a nutshell, as far as they understand, what the creatures known as the Tautos are. And no, that is not a spoiler because it's in the back cover copy of the book. Don't at me. Lestat listens and tries to understand it, of course, because he loves Mona as a new fledgling of his. He loves and respects Quinn as a brother and partner to Mona, and he's become quickly infatuated with Rowan for some reason that he's not fully aware of. So Lestat goes bold and promises to find out about what happened to Mona's child and the Tautos. So there isn't too much that actually occurs in this book in terms of actual plot. A lot of this, like many of Anne Rice's books, is character development, as she is typically strong with. I find the character development of Mona to be interesting, especially because if you're familiar with her backstory, what happens to her in the Mayfair Chronicles, what happened to her in Blackwood Farm, and leading into this book, you know she's been through a lot of stuff, and she was technically not supposed to make it this far. So there's a lot of things that she's experiencing now, or wants to experience now, that she never had the opportunity to. And there's a lot of maturation and stuff that she has to go through, which doesn't all happen in this book because it's over a short time frame. So I can see some people getting a little irritated by the fact that she's still acting like a bratty teenager in a lot of ways, which, to be fair, she is physically a teenager and now forever will be. So it's... Look, I don't like bratty teenagers either, but I thought it was good character development for her, especially with, you know, Quinn and Lestat and Michael and Rowan all trying to reel her in and all trying to explain to her and settle her down because she thinks she's right and she knows she's right when she's not actually right. But, you know, that's how teenagers are, right? And to be fair, I can't really blame her because, you know, she wants to know what happened to her daughter and stuff like that, so I understand. In terms of conflict, there isn't too much in terms of an actual plot-based conflict. Like, I was just explaining about some of the character conflict, which there's always character conflict in Anne Rice's books. That's cool. That's great. Plot conflict, not so much. There is a little bit of fighting later on in the book with Mona, Quinn, and Lestat versus a drug cartel on an island. That's all I'm going to get into about that. Which... It might scratch that action itch a little bit, but it's not really what the point of it is. Now, as someone who originally read the Mayfair Chronicles and now has read Blackwood Farm and Blood Canticle, I don't remember much of the itty-bitty details, but it seemed like an okay end to that storyline. I wouldn't say it's great, but it gives you a sort of conclusion that the trilogy originally did not do, because the trilogy was open-ended, right? The third book had an ending, but the actual story of the Mayfairs and the Tautos itself was left open-ended. So there was room to add stuff there. And with this book, especially with how the book itself ended. It was definitely a lot more of a way of concluding the Mayfair story than it was concluding the Vampire Chronicles story. Because the end of the book is very open. You know, it's not a closed ending, which is what I was concerned about, because I hadn't read this book in ages, and I only ever read it once before. So I was apprehensive that if the ending was too closed, that the next book in the series would felt like it was shoved in, right? Like it was just thrown in there for the sake of it, and that it wouldn't really feel like it has a place. Total opposite of that, all right? Just as a disclaimer, I am recording this review video for Blood Canticle after having already read the next book in the series, so I can say this for a fact. It's open-ended enough, and there's enough time between this book and Prince Lestat that you can treat Blood Canticle as an end to the series if you want and not read any further. If you do read further, I don't feel like it's forced or anything. So I don't think you need to worry about that. It's one of the better books in the series, but it didn't grab me as much as some of the other books. It wasn't as good as Blood and Gold, Interview with the Vampire Lestat, or The Queen of the Damned. But it was still a decent entry to the series, so I chose to give it 3.5 stars on the Storygraph, and 3 stars on Goodreads. But in any case, that is enough for me for this review. I would like to hear now what you guys think, whether you're a fan of the Mayfair Chronicles, Vampire Chronicles, or both. Have you read these books? What do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you not? I want to have this discussion with you guys in the comments below. And with that, I would like to thank you for watching this video today, and I will talk to you later. Bye!